Tonight on TrojanVision News, the Troy women's basketball team is going dancing, and now they have their dance partner. We'll have more details coming up.
Republicans are launching a counter-campaign to poke holes in President Biden's American Rescue Plan. I'm Skyler Henry at the White House with the details as officials hit states across the country to sell the massive COVID bill.
And Alpha Tau Omega surpassed a new fundraising record for their annual Walk Hard event. We'll have the details coming up. Stay tuned. Troy TrojanVision News starts right now.
From Troy University's Broadcast and Digital Network Earl Hutto Studio, this is Troy TrojanVision News.
Hello and welcome to Troy TrojanVision News for March 16, 2021. I'm Michaela Smith.
And I'm Stuart Bradley. Thank you for joining us this evening. The Trojan women's basketball team is headed to the NCAA tournament for the third time under head coach Chanda Rigby. The team found out who they will be playing in the tournament last night at a watch party in Trojan Arena. Troy will take on Texas A&M in the first round. The announcement was made during the tournament selection show last night on ESPN. The Trojans watched the announcement from the floor of Trojan Arena as fans watched along in the stands. Head coach Chanda Rigby talks about the team's excitement when finally hearing their name called.
Celebration. It's funny because the teams they announced before us, a lot of them, even the commentators had commented, they were kind of sitting in their seats and maybe one or two teams kind of jumped up and clapped. I knew when they called Troy, it was going to be a different story, and it really was. Everybody was out of their seat dancing and clapping and just joyful. To see that in the team makes a lot of things really worth it. Just the joy that the team is getting to experience. I'm very thankful for it.
Troy will be playing in San Antonio for the first round. That game will be Monday at 5 p.m. on ESPN2. Now we'll have more on the team's preparation later in sports.
It's not unusual for college students to spend some money over spring break, but for one of Troy's group of Troy students, they raised money on the trip to Panama City Beach, $90,000. Claudia Peppenhorst has the wrap-up of this year's Walk Hard fundraiser.
The end of spring break also means the end of a year-long preparation for Alpha Tau Omega's Walk Hard event. The 128.3-mile trek to Panama City Beach ended Wednesday with the walkers arriving in Pier Park. Walk Hard allows the brothers of ATO to raise money for their chosen philanthropy, and they did just that.
This year for Walk Hard, we were able to get all 36 of our walkers down to the beach from a successful 128.3-mile walk, and it culminated in us raising $90,000 for Jeep Sullivan's Outdoor Adventures.
With the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the walkers had lowered their fundraising goals for this year, but with hard work, they exceeded their goal and set the record for the most money Walk Hard has ever raised.
We kind of came into this year really hoping for $60,000. I had a phone call earlier in the fall that just was really about, hey, just don't expect to raise a check higher than $40,000. COVID has really taken a toll on the economy. $40,000 is just a really good number to shoot for. And so for us to have kind of come out of the other side and doubled that and then some, it's a huge blessing. I really just couldn't be more excited about it.
With the new record set at $90,000, ATO is looking forward to the future of Walk Hard and hopefully exceeding that record once again.
So the record that we kind of surpassed was $72,000 in 2019. So we lapped it around a couple good times. So I'm really excited about that. It was a really big milestone for our chapter and just seeing the growth of Walk Hard. So I'm really excited to see kind of where it takes off from here. I think it was a really good step in the right direction to see maybe numbers soon that'll be 6 digits. So
all of the money raised will go to Jeep Sullivan's Outdoor Adventures for wounded veterans. The organization gives veterans the opportunity to connect with a group of people and experience the great outdoors on their trip.
I always say the fun begins now because we get to see kind of the fruits of our labor throughout the year with how that money is spent. So that'll be different trips and different equipment that is necessary for those trips to make those veterans kind of have the best experience possible with Jeep and to kind of aid in that rehabilitation.
Claudia Peppenhorst, Troy TrojanVision News.
ATO is still collecting funds for the Walk Hard. If you would like to donate, you can visit their website at walkhard.info.
Now for news from across the nation and around the world on Troy TrojanVision News.
President Biden is headed to a Philadelphia suburb this morning as the White House continues what it's calling the Help is Here tour.
to tout the benefits of American Rescue Plan that was signed into law last week. Skyler Henry has more details from the White House.
President Biden is hitting the road to tout his American Rescue Plan and the benefits small businesses can receive, especially those that missed out during the last round of relief.
Mainstream businesses from hardware stores to beauty salons that needed the help most were left behind. 400,000 are now gone. We will not let that happen this time.
This is all part of a 6-state swing for the president, vice president, and their spouses to sell the plan to the American public.
It's not selling it. It's literally letting people know their rights, right? It's kind of like you buy a product, you've already been sold on the product, but you need some directions on the box usually, right?
The Republican National Committee is launching a counter-messaging campaign today, spreading the message that the money in the bill isn't targeted to fight the pandemic.
Reports from California suggest some local governments may consider using some of the massive bailouts that Democrats sent them on bonuses.
The Biden administration is also pressing states to make vaccinations available for all adults by May 1st. Today, Mississippi becomes the second state to expand their vaccine eligibility to those ages 16 and older.
Great for the Mississippi so we can get back to some kind of normalcy. We all need it.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says so far there have been a few allergic reactions to the vaccine. Only about 4 cases out of every 1 million shots.
There does not appear to be anything that is what we call a red flag.
Several European countries have suspended use of the AstraZeneca vaccine over concerns about blood clots. The British drug maker says a review of 17 million people in the UK and Europe who have received the vaccine found less than 40 developed blood clots, which they say is lower than what you'd expect to find in the general population. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Government, medicine, and the faith community are working together to combat vaccine hesitancy. The COVID-19 vaccination effort has met some resistance for many reasons.
Whether it's distrust in communities of color or among certain political persuasions or religious beliefs. As CBS's Natalie Brand explains, faith leaders say they're in a unique position to help build confidence.
We all share responsibility in this moment.
Canon Leonard Hamlin Sr. of Washington National Cathedral says that includes faith leaders, a community playing an increasingly important role in helping to vaccinate the public, from hosting clinics at churches to tackling reasons for reluctance.
That can be history, it can be experience that they have personally, stories that they have been told, it can be the beliefs that they share. But we have an opportunity to address them all.
Canon Hamlin invited Dr. Anthony Fauci and National Institutes of Health Director Dr. Francis Collins to the cathedral Tuesday night, along with other faith leaders, to help the effort. As part of the push, 25 interfaith clergy from across the Washington, D.C. area will be vaccinated on camera to help spread the message and build trust.
One of the main things that we know is that all of the messaging can't come centrally from health authorities.
Dr. Lisa Maragakis of Johns Hopkins says vaccine hesitancy has increased over the last several years.
Many people are hesitant about vaccines, but social media and the availability of pathways to disseminate misinformation has accelerated.
It's yet another challenge as doctors aim to vaccinate at least 75% of the population to begin to reach immunity.
You've been vaccinated.
Yes.
Community leaders like Canon Hamlin serving as a model.
This, as many often say, is an opportunity, especially for faith leaders, to practice what we preach.
And an example of how faith, science, and politics can work together to fight the pandemic. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
During a time when the country is examining racial stereotypes and diverse representation in entertainment now more than ever, positive Native American characters like Nickelodeon's Charles Littlebowl and PBS's Molly Denali have emerged.
Michael Joris takes a look at the impact of these new characters are having on young audiences.
He meant the actual library?
Oh, you must be Carlota. I'm Charles Littlebowl.
Meet Charles Littlebowl, one of the first Lakota characters to be featured in a national animated TV show.
Welcome to my favorite spot. I love the smell of books. and grad students who haven't showered in days.
Charles is a Native American grad student who loves tutoring. He recently made his debut on the CASAGRANDES, a comedy series on Viacom CBS's Nickelodeon channel, and he's already getting noticed.
He looked good and he looked nice. He was very handsome looking and smart.
8-year-old Wichani and 12-year-old Omaka are fans of the show.
He was very positive, and I liked how they kept him like that and how they presented him as being smart.
Crystal Echohawk is founder of Iluminative, which works to promote positive representation of Native people, who for decades have often been invisible in media or portrayed as racist stereotypes.
For our children, those kind of harmful representations, the science shows that it causes increased depression, anxiety, suicidal ideation.
Native American youth face tremendous challenges, including the nation's highest suicide rate and extreme poverty. The Lakota reservation, Pine Ridge, is home to 2 of the country's 5 poorest communities, with a school dropout rate of 70%.
The ability, to see Charles is going to really give, young viewers the opportunity to see a Native American in a way that I think that they're going to be able to look up to him as a role model.
Let's get this party started. There's gonna be a quiz later.
I think it's changing. And I think eventually it'll be way better.
A positive change in representation that young audiences hope is just the beginning. Michael George, CBS News.
Well, Michaela, as I was walking into the building today, I started to feel a few sprinkles on my head.
Yes, Stuart, I've heard we're going to have thunderstorms tonight. Kaylee, can you tell us what to expect?
Well, we will definitely be having thunderstorms tonight, but what about the rest of the week? We'll find out after the break.
Places, everybody.
Light check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Everything looks good on our end.
And lights.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Staring contest.
You still got it. I know.
Come alive with the forest. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Do you think he's on his way? He doesn't even know that we're here. Is he okay? Please tell me he's okay.
Laura.
Okay, try to call him again.
There's no signal.
Try.
Nothing's working.
Well, just
Everything's down.
This is so bad. He's out there by himself.
Make sure you know where to find your family in an emergency. Start your plan at ready.gov.
Now, your weather on Troy Trojan Vision News.
Thank you for staying tuned for Trojan Vision weather. I'm Kaylee Wright, and behind me it is very humid looking. It's very overcast, but will this weather continue? We will find out after the current conditions. The skies, we are currently having showers. The temperature is at 72 degrees. The humidity is at 82%. Pressure is at 29.93 inches, and wind is coming from the southwest at 10 miles an hour. The high today was 75 degrees, and the record high in 1945 was 87. The low today was 66, and the record low in 1993 was 23 degrees. We've almost had an inch of rain so far today. Huntsville is at 65 right now, Birmingham at 68, Phoenix City at 68 as well, Montgomery at 67, Troy at 72, Dothan at 82, and Mobile at 78. The southeast right now is looking very hot with temperatures at 80 degrees and 70 in the 70s as well. But the rest of the country is looking very chilly with temperatures in the 30s and 40s. We will be getting rain on Wednesday and thunderstorms. And on Thursday we will be getting some thunderstorms and rain as well. But Friday the temperature should be a little bit cooler in the 60s and it should be pretty sunny. And Saturday, we should be getting some good weather as well. Tonight we will have thunderstorms. It will be at 64 degrees and the wind will be coming from the southwest at 5 miles an hour. Tomorrow there will be thunderstorms as well. It will be 80 degrees and the wind will be coming from the south at 5 to 15 miles an hour. Wednesday and Thursday we will be having thunderstorms with high chances of rain, and Friday and Saturday it will be partly sunny with no rain at all. At night, the temperatures, as you can see, will be very chilly, as Wednesday night it will be 63 degrees, Thursday night it will be 47, and Friday night it will be at 46. I'm Kaylee Wright, and that has been your weather. Now back to the news desk.
Thank you very much, Kaylee. Coming up on Troy TrojanVision News, a zoo tries out Netflix for monkeys. Well, sort of. Coming up in today's, take a look at this.
And the women's basketball team first round opponent has been named. Find out more coming up in sports.
Today, we go about our lives driven by routine. Our vision is clouded by the very normalcy we take for granted. Countless victims of human trafficking walk among us, invisible, until now. The Blue Campaign provides a unified voice for those who combat human trafficking. Whether it's forced labor, domestic servitude, or the sex trade, it's time to open our eyes. Learn what you can do to help by visiting dhs.gov/bluecampaign.
Oh, it's gonna be great.
I think it goes around.
Let's go. We gotta get you in practice.
And it's set.
Now, the latest in Trojan sports on Troy TrojanVision News.
Welcome to your TrojanVision Sports. I'm Noah Peavy. The women's basketball team will return to the NCAA tournament for the third time under head coach Chanda Rigby, after securing their spot as a 15th seed in the tournament. Before heading to the tournament, head coach Rigby will look to impart one final lesson on her team.
Every year that we've gone, we've learned things that we didn't know before. We played the two times that we've gone before. We played championship teams. They made it all the way to the Final Four and into the championship round. So we've drawn about the toughest teams that you could draw first, and we did learn a lot. We used to tell our team block out. We thought we were pretty good rebounders doing that, but you can no longer block out when you get the NCAA tournament. You have to shove out. You can't bump the cutter. You have to use your whole body and hit the cutter coming across the lane. Everything has stepped up several notches.
The women's basketball team, the women's basketball NCAA tournament will begin for Troy on March 22nd. The Trojans find out who they'll take on in the first round of the tournament last night during the NCAA selection show. The team will face Texas A&M in the first round of the tournament. Texas A&M won the SEC tournament this year. 15th seed Troy will play in the Mercado region, taking on the 2-seed Aggies. Head coach Chanda Rigby says they were surprised by how the seeding ended up for both teams involved.
We're so blessed to be in this position, to be healthy enough to be here, to have won enough to be here. It's brand new to us hearing that we're going to play Texas A&M. I really thought they were going to be a 1 seed. I'm sure they probably thought that as well. The net, everything's new this year with the net. If you look at the RPI, we could have been a 12 seed with an RPI, but the net, this is the first year we've gone to that. It changes things and it moves our numbers in the way we didn't want to move it. So anyway, it's a surprise totally that we would be playing Texas A&M.
Troy will play the Aggies Monday at 5 p.m. in San Antonio. The game will be broadcast on ESPN2. The Troy baseball team returns to action tonight against the University of Alabama. The baseball team is coming off a weekend series of going 1-2 against Tulane, bringing their season record to 8-8 overall. They welcome Alabama to Riddle Pace Field for their second matchup of the season, having fallen earlier to the Crimson Tide this season 9-1. First pitch for tonight is set for 6 p.m. The game will be on ESPN Plus and the Troy Sports Radio Network. Well, really hoping the baseball team can bounce back after a rough weekend and get this win over Alabama tonight.
Yes, I know. Even though it's going to rain tonight, I'm hoping that everybody can go still support the baseball team.
Yeah, they've been having a tough time recently, especially after they, went on the road for the first time. But they're in the friendly confines of Riddle Pace tonight. Weather permitting, I think they can pull out a win. Noah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Studying abroad has been impossible due to COVID travel restrictions. However, there is a light at the end of the tunnel.
Aaron Taylor learns more about future study abroad plans in today's edition of Trojan Talk.
Hello and welcome to Trojan Talk. I'm your host, Aaron Taylor. With me today is Sarah McKenzie, coordinator of study abroad here at Troy University. Sarah, I want you to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And so, first and foremost, study abroad. It's been a struggle this year, obviously, because with COVID, you can't do any traveling abroad. It's hard to even travel within the United States. Right. So what are some of the challenges been for your department in just trying to keep things going and staying on track?
So I really just tried to keep study abroad at the forefront of everyone's minds, that it is coming back, that we are going to be able to go again, and try to keep it in people's radar so that they know they'll be able to go.
And one of the things is you've recently made an announcement of some of the trips for next year. So we're kind of starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. There's been travel restrictions. You haven't been able to go overseas. Had a lot of them canceled last year, but you've already made the plans for next year. But before we get to the plans for next year, what kind of impact did COVID have on study abroad here at Troy? Like, how many trips would you estimate got canceled because of study abroad, because of COVID?
Yes, so we had about 12 faculty-led trips that were canceled. We had students abroad that we recommended that they came home. Some of them stayed and some of them came home. But yeah, it's pretty much decimated study abroad for now.
Oh, and it's one of those things that, and it was kind of like a rolling, is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Then all of a sudden the hammer dropped and it was gone. And for there to be such a push on study abroad programs at the university, because it's one of those, the chancellor's big focuses is to try to get students out there. What does it mean to try to get it all working back together again?
Well, I'm really relying on my faculty leaders who have been on multiple trips already, before this happened. But students are interested. They want to go. A lot of students, I think, would go right now if they could. They're not too scared to travel. But it's going to be a rebuilding process. We had a lot of momentum behind us. We had a lot of growth in the last 4 years, and now I feel like we're starting kind of at scratch. So I'm hoping that my faculty leaders are going to jump on board and help me out, get some trips approved.
Now, you already have some ready to go for a year from now. It's going to be in the spring of 2022. We're going to say that right now, that we're talking 2022 here, not even for this calendar year. But what are some of the things you've already got coming in plans for next year?
So Tracy Leverett and Sedaris Williams have a trip planned to the French Riviera, Italy, and Switzerland for spring break. Dr. Diane Young and Dr. Amanda Innes and Dr. Sherry Siebenhinner have a trip planned for Greece for the beginning of May. Dr. Michael Woods and Dr. Amy Grillo have a trip planned to the Galapagos in May. And Dr. Jay Valentine has a trip planned to Paris for June.
So you've already got some trips planned there, so students can start thinking about some opportunities there. And if they are interested in some of those trips, what should the student be doing at this point right now if they were interested in maybe going on one of those trips that have already been planned?
They can email me. They can go, they can search Study Abroad on our website and find the application portal and find out more information about those trips. They can also contact the faculty leaders, directly via email, and I can give them that information too, but definitely reach out to me.
And so now, reaching out to you, obviously, there's a few that are already there in the works, planned already, but obviously there were 12 trips that were canceled last year, and there were some faculty members that had planned some of those trips. So if there are faculty members that maybe had some of those trips planned last year, or even some that are thinking, man, I have a trip I wanted to do once things were lifted, what do they need to do to kind of initiate this process to get us back on track and have study abroad programs available for students?
Right, so there's a proposal packet that has to go through all the signatures, and if they've done it before, they know that. But again, if a faculty leader is interested, they can just contact me. My email, easy one, is troyabroad@troy.edu. I'm happy to help them, walk them through the process. It's not a great deal of information, especially if you've done it before, because you can just sort of tweak those details. But starting one, it can be a little bit more work, but it's still not a terrible amount.
And so now that some of those have maybe had theirs canceled last year, this is the time for them to reconnect with you and say, hey, can we try to work out the details for 2022?
Yes, so 2 of our current trips that are approved were trips for 2021, and all they really had to do was resubmit with new dates. So
that easier process. So anybody
Yes.
that had 2020, they can shift over to 2022 and maybe figure out the details on that. But
Yes.
but tell me about this, and probably should have asked you earlier, but why is it important for students to take advantage of these study abroad opportunities?
Well, you know, we live in a very global world now. Even here at the university, we have so many international students on campus, and our domestic students are already being exposed to other cultures and other languages on campus. And just going and seeing that for yourself, it really broadens your mind, and it helps you to see, you know, what someone else's world looks like. We know what our world looks like here in South Alabama, but what is it really like in Paris, in Greece? So I think it opens their mind. It also helps them a lot with their future applications for employment or for grad schools. Only 10% of American students study abroad. So it puts them in a very small percentage of people who have done something extra besides just going and getting a degree. And it sets them apart during an interview process.
So here's hoping that students take advantage of those opportunities, and a few of them that have already been announced for 2022. Welcome back, study abroad next year.
Yes.
So I want to thank you for joining me today, and good luck getting things back on track for study abroad.
Thank
for
you
joining
so
us.
much.
And thank you for joining us on today's edition of Trojan Talk.
On-demand video is a great way to kick back and unwind, and a new study is looking at whether interactive video streaming
can better the lives of zoo animals too. Jeremy Roth has today's. Take a look at this.
Animal researchers in Finland are using technology to improve the lives of animals in captivity. Scientists from Aalto University built a box with a monitor that played videos on demand inside a habitat for white-faced Saki monkeys at a zoo. Sort of a Netflix for monkeys, if you will. When a monkey stepped into the box, the video of the week started to play. Subjects ranged from other zoo animals to forest scenes to worms. Scientists say the monkeys appeared to recognize objects in the video clips. Some even tried to eat the digital worms on the screen. The study, published in the journal Animals, noted the monkeys engaged in less scratching when they watched the videos, a sign they were less stressed. Gives new meaning to the phrase Netflix and chill. Speaking of stress relievers, watch some senior citizens celebrate beating COVID-19 by beating COVID-19 with a stick. Residents in Virginia Beach took turns taking a literal swing at a virus-shaped piñata. It was to celebrate gaining herd immunity in their senior living community. 99% of the Westminster Canterbury on Chesapeake Bay's residents have been vaccinated. Organizers say it took only minutes for the virus to be taken down. It was filled with candy, hand sanitizer, and miniature bottles of alcohol. Residents were thrilled, with one saying, "It feels like we got our life back." For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Now, Kaylee, I know you said that we will have rain coming this evening.
Yes, Kaylee, can you tell us what to expect?
Well, we will be having thunderstorms, and the temperature will be at 64 degrees with wind coming from the southwest at 5 miles an hour, so it will be a very chilly night. Tomorrow we will still be having thunderstorms, but the weather will be a bit warmer at 80 degrees with winds coming from the south at 5 to 15 miles an hour. And tomorrow and Thursday we will be having thunderstorms and high chances of rain. And Friday and Saturday it will be partly cloudy. And Wednesday night the temperature will be at 63 degrees. Thursday night it will be at 47 degrees, and Friday night it will be at 46 degrees. That is your forecast. Now back to the news desk.
Thank you, Kaylee. That's all the time we have for Troy Trojan Vision News.
Oh, thank you for joining us, and have a good night.
Looks like it's done.
Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. You can't see these microbes, but they might be there. So learn the right temperature to cook each type of meat. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.org.